So, The Last of Us Part 2 story trailer. Here we are, Aadil, you and I, to have a look.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting for me, who is one of the 7 people in the world with a PlayStation 4 who hasn't played, or PlayStation that hadn't played this game, the first one. But yeah, I know the names, I think.
Sure.
But yeah, all right, let's see what this does.
Peggy 18.
Well, that's a good start.
Yeah.
Pure violence.
I know you wish things were different.
Troy Baker, obviously back.
Yeah. Captured from PS4 Pro, so I'm not going to be able to see this scene.
He's got his guitar. I assume he's playing her a song.
Yeah.
Ellie!
A little bit of... Oh, is that David? A character from the first game that attacked Ellie.
And that's some salt and pepper going on.
Looking super old.
Please stop.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah. I'm assuming that's another group of humans that are not so great. Because you don't say that to zombies, right?
Ooh, battered, mate. She looked battered.
I'm leaving tomorrow.
Where do you find horses?
I don't know. Look how lush did that look as well.
Very, yeah.
The amount of
So they just get
how nature is kind of reclaiming these spaces even more now.
Yeah, it's really good reclamation art.
You can't stop this.
Jesus.
I mean, it's always been violent, but
Yeah.
this is looking sort of next level violent.
Not at any cost.
Like a little crafting station. Crafting was in the first game, so probably coming back.
I really hope you make it.
Super moody, isn't it?
I was gonna say, this is like Edge. Cut yourself on the edge going on.
I have to finish it.
Big cast of sub characters. It looks like.
There's a cost.
Yeah. God, that's loud.
We could have killed you. Maybe you should have.
It does seem like much more. She seems more like wandering by herself in this game.
Yeah.
Most of the shots with Joel seem to be in like the same couple of spots.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
that room and then a confrontation outside near some trees. Where she walked away.
Has it got you interested?
To be honest, it makes me want to play the first one because I feel like I can't play this one without really knowing what's going on or why I might care if someone walks away from someone else.
Yeah, I was gonna say it is a fantastic experience. Even if we roll the trailer again, from that you still kind of get a bit of the tone of the first game. It is sort of dark and gritty. That game is much more about. So you play the majority of it as Joel, and or you play all of it as Joel? I don't remember. But it's much more about their relationship and him protecting her.
Right, because she's young, right?
Yeah, absolutely. This one seems set a few years later, like she is just a bit older, I guess, and a bit more world weary almost. You know, those shots of her where she's it shows her sort of her naked back and she's absolutely bruised and battered. Like you can tell that she's kind of, you know, been doing her own thing and just getting
and like
into some scrapes.
Yeah, and a lot of the shots of her interacting with other people is just this dour expression, sort of beaten down. Let's take another look.
I know you wish things were different.
I mean, it does build very well with that kind of that music running through this different voices, giving you little snippets of kind of what's going on. That bit sort of right towards the end where it just builds so much, it's kind of almost deafening, isn't it?
Yeah. Didn't help for talking over, but but yeah, and it definitely has a very Wild West sort of feel with the music and like the horses and even the gunplay. They like confrontations. Yeah. There's that beat up.
I mean, even there, like taking a batter into her face, but she's just angry with the world as well.
Yeah.
this smart.
I think that's Tommy, which was Joel's brother.
Oh yeah.
I guess at the end of the first game, they go back to his settlement, or at least where he's staying with a load of people, which you do visit during the game. So maybe it starts there, and she kind of wants to escape and move on from that kind of life.
Yeah.
We've kind of lots of people have kind of guessed at what makes her do that. I'm having to talk louder as it builds.
Yeah, right.
Just let this bit play out, maybe.
Yeah, that sounds good. I mean, it's also just a lot of her confronting people, so it seems very much a human drama type.
I have to finish it.
There's a cost.
We could have killed you.
Maybe you should have.
Yeah, it is showing that more brutal side of it as well. So whether, a lot of people have been speculating about what kind of might set her on a different path. We've seen other trailers where she's sort of, maybe in the start of a relationship with another girl, whether there's something around that which pushes her, whether it's something around Joel which pushes her. The Last of Us was quite a big story, really. It had a lot of moments, a lot of things pushing it along. And whether this kind of, will follow that 3-act sort of structure, and how it does so will be really interesting to see, considering I think the first game is one of the best kind of games, and definitely one of the best stories told in video games.
Yeah, I mean, you've said that a lot, and that's one of the reasons why I've been really meaning to play it. It's mostly the trying to find enough time to sink into things, but, it's lockdown. I don't know what my excuse is now.
It's definitely one of those where you want to play it in a good chunk. So once you start, you'll want to see out the end of the sort of linear area that you've got to progress through, and then when you get into the next one, it pulls you along with those little story snippets in between by the intrigue in the collectibles, giving you a little bit more exposition into the world and things like that, and that cast of sort of secondary characters as well that kind of play out in between the different levels definitely pull you through. It's a hard one to put down once you start.
I mean, that sounds great. I did notice one thing gameplay-wise that was, let's say, suboptimal. The shot where you're in a car chase and it's obviously gameplay. You're clearly just controlling her arm to shoot. It looks like, and the arm is really wingy wangy, like untethered in a way that those sequences often are. But I just wasn't expecting it. Just like the tracking of the arm just seemed really. Kind of wobbly. Yeah,
movement was always a bit slower in the first game as well. Especially when you're sort of zoomed in to fire. It's not quite that to turn it up to 11 kind of Call of Duty style. It's definitely a lot slower, so you've got to consider being a bit more careful with kind of how you place your shots and how you line people up if you want to shoot sort of multiple enemies and things. I wonder if they go for a similar sort of thing. And it'd be interesting to see how they adapt that between, say, how you played as Joel in the first game, an older guy who has probably had a lot of at least post-apocalyptic combat encounters to feel like he knows what he's doing with a gun or in a fight, and kind of comparing that with how Ellie will feel in the second game, whether she will be just as sort of proficient.
Or if it's the tone makes it seem like it's a much more frenetic combat.
Yeah,
than what you described.
Should we run it again and see if we can spot the moment you're...
Yeah, for sure. Oh. Forgot I paused it on the splash screen. There you go.
At least people know what we're talking about if they tune in, 8 minutes in.
Into this pre-recorded video.
I mean, it looks beautiful as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The lighting's really good. And this looks like a shot from the first game. She's much younger in that first scene.
Yeah, and in this one.
I wish things were different.
Whereas now, different haircut, looks older.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you start at sort of the end of the last game and then it does a flash forward.
Yeah, just up to like the title sequence or something.
Yeah. Well, similar to like Horizon Zero Dawn, you play as like young, and then hit that moment, and then it's like, okay, now you're in the real game. Oh, the mood.
I'm leaving tomorrow.
Again, it's a story trailer, but it really shouldn't be called that, should it? We don't get much of what the story is from this.
Yeah, which it's better than what most movies do, where it's like, okay, now I know what the whole plot is.
True. Yeah. I mean, had they have called this more of a tonal trailer or an atmosphere trailer or something like that.
I mean, in video games, don't you normally just call it a trailer and then you have a gameplay trailer?
Yeah.
So why didn't they just call it a trailer? Trailer 2? I think they didn't want to have a number, I don't know.
I guess, yeah. And it does give some of the story. It's introducing you to characters that we kind of haven't really seen before.
Yeah, it gives narrative elements, it gives it, and you're right, like tone. But I guess that's what they mean by story. It's a weird word.
I have to finish it.
This weird, like, facility space. Facility space that she's in as well looks interesting.
Yeah, with the red lights, you mean? Oh, there it was.
Oh, it did, yeah. Little floppy.
Yeah, it did.
Floppy on the recoil on the fire.
Yeah, and her arm just sort of like swings real wildly.
We could have killed
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, very strange. Even how polished everything else in this trailer is.
Yeah,
I wonder
absolutely.
if that's why it was like a half second.
Maybe something that they are crunching to work on. We probably won't talk about Naughty Dog crunch over the top of this. That's another conversation. But have you got any sort of final thoughts on the trailer or on what you're expecting from sort of this second game?
I mean, it's piqued my interest. I mean, I'm a sucker for stories. I honestly, it's making me want to play the first one so that I won't be behind when this one comes out. But yeah, I mean, it looks really interesting, and Naughty Dog games are fun to play. So even though there was no gameplay outside of a couple, 7-frame sections of that trailer, it's piqued my interest. I think some of the mood is lost on me because I just didn't go through those moments with the character before. So it's kind of like like if I didn't know there was a backstory that everyone lauds, like it kind of comes off as generic.
Sure.
Just like, okay, someone's in a post-apocalyptic, they're zombies, and they're fighting with humans. Seen that type of story before.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for those unfamiliar, it will seem very by the numbers. Dark, gritty, moody, and all those elements that you say as well. So it's interesting that they didn't give a little bit more exposition, perhaps.
Yeah, especially for a story trailer. And like if I didn't know that Joel was the point of the first one, like the main, and that was him. Yeah, all those shots with him are just kind of flat, right? Like it's. I think the trailer is definitely made for current fans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And just to finish, do you think we'll see anything more from the game now before release, which is I think about 5 weeks away? I think it's the 19th it comes out.
I mean, I would be surprised if PlayStation didn't push a gameplay-ish trailer out. But I think you won't see much more of the story. Given that's the main thrust and why people love the first one. So you won't see much of the story because I think that's the whole point. And there was all the controversy with the leaks that came out.
Yes.
I think they're, if they haven't already like kept it really low, I think they'll probably push for less info out to like minimize that sort of loss. Yeah.
And I think at this point as well, it's quite a known quantity. Maybe not to some people, but to the vast majority of at least PlayStation, sort of predominantly PlayStation gamers.
Yeah, for sure.
And they will know what the gameplay is going to be like. I can't imagine it's going to be dramatically different to the first game. So people will already have an understanding of what that is going to be. And I could see them not putting out very much at all. Not releasing a gameplay trailer, but maybe just having some kind of article in like Game Informer or something like that coming out just a couple of weeks before its release.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Cool. So that's The Last of Us
2.
Part 2. It's out in 5 weeks' time, roughly. I'm super looking forward to it. I'll definitely be getting it. Aadil, you've got plenty of time to play The Last of Us before it does come out. It's not a long game, and you could probably do it over the course of 2 weeks or something in a few sort of 2 or 3 hour sittings.
All right, okay, so it's not that long. I didn't know how long it was.
I think it's. I mean, how long do I think it is? Maybe 16 hours.
Okay, I thought it was much
longer
for some reason.
I mean, I played it through 4 times. I think on each of the different difficulties, having played it through on crushing as well, which was the hardest. And I mean, with the amount of games that come out, I can't see myself having done that if it was, say, 25 to 30 hours.
Right, yeah.
So it's definitely under that mark. But I'd say it's somewhere between sort of 16 and 20, something like that. So, yeah, there's time for anyone who hasn't played The Last of Us or wants to catch up.
Yeah, fair enough.
And relive the first game. So, yeah. Nice. Cool.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.